Good morning, this is Stuart Davidson here, your friendly QS, and this week I'm talking about a program that I've put together called the S.T.A.R.T.E.R program, and we're all going to be thinking about how we're going to restart after the lockdown. And you can start it now. It's not about waiting for 2 or 3 months time. So the S.T.A.R.T.E.R program is an acrostic. So yesterday I talked about S and sales and how you can use sales and marketing, your marketing programs, to kind of pre-qualify yourself. So I represent clients in terms of procuring construction work and have done that for many years. And it's quite a challenge to get the right contractor at the right time in the right place and to know the contractor well. And so I talked about yesterday how marketing can pre-qualify you if you do that on a regular basis. Today, I wanted to look at training and how we might use training to develop what we do, training ourselves, improve our training. And also I talked a bit yesterday about finding your niche, the niche in terms of what you're amazing at and your target client. And, because I think in construction, a lot of companies are too broad and general. So, yeah, we can do this or this construction or that construction. But if you niche down and identify your key client, are there things that you can do that is going to be useful to that client in terms of training? So we're at T, training. So can you teach your client something about what you do, your target client? Can you put a training program together, in terms of not just doing what you do, but teaching what you do? I think it's a great opportunity during this lockdown period where it's a quiet period that you might be able to put some webinars or some training together that gives you an opportunity to get out there, promote yourself, build relationships with your niche client area. Hi Glenn, hi Richard, how you doing? And so to really think about you might not put training together or done much training for your clients, or quite often we think about training our employees, which is something most companies do naturally. But thinking about what is it I could teach my target audience, my target clients about what we do, the things that we're amazing at. Could you teach or inform your clients around, if you're a contractor or you're a subcontractor, say for example you're a bricklaying contractor, are there things that you can put out there or trainings that you can put together? What is the best way to appoint a bricklaying contractor? What is the best way to administer a bricklaying contract? What are the things that are important to us in terms of how we get paid? For example, we might get paid by the lift as opposed to percentage overall complete. The intricacies around putting brick sundries in, so the wall ties, the cavity barriers. There's lots and lots of things in brickwork that initially sounds, brickwork sounds like brickwork, but there's a lot involved in brickwork that maybe clients or architects would be really, really interested to know about. The way that you install things, the way you install wall ties, fire socks, how you work around window openings, what's the best sequencing around window formers. Is it best for you to put them in? Is it best for the window manufacturer, the window installers to put it in? So there's so many things that you could do as part of your training, something that comes naturally to you in your business, that you could put training together. And I think, for me as a QS, I'd be really interested in that sort of thing. So if you're a contractor, this is the way we normally sequence works on this type of project. That would be interesting to me as a quantity surveyor, because rates against quantities are only those rates when the work is done in a certain sequence. If you change the sequence of the work or the logistics of the work, those rates and quantities will change, and they'll mean something quite different. So, could you do a training around that, around sequencing? What are the do's and don'ts of sequencing? What things could quite easily get out of sequence? What things that you really do need to get into sequence? How do you get the right materials and the right time and the right labour on site? Could you do a training around what labours we want, what different types of trade we want on site at the same time? So there might be certain activities that need a little bit of interface and a little bit of to-ing and fro-ing? Or do you need to pay for a plumber to be on site for a couple of days, even if he's finished his works, because he might be needed before you complete the first fix on another trade, like the electrical works? He might be needed to move something. So it might be easier to keep him on site for a day rather than say he's finished, he leaves site, and then get him back later to make an adjustment or something. So there's all of those technical things that are really, really interesting. And I think for architects, for QSs, for clients, those sorts of things I'd be really interested in put in a training program. I know with us, we're starting to think about now how we could put training together where clients can do certain things that we would have done in the past for them, teach them and train them how they might be able to do it themselves, give them more value, build that relationship up. So when things start to get busy again, they might think, well, we'll go to them for some support. We'll go for them for QS work, because they've put some value and some training together. And quite often what you find, people think, why should I train people to do what we do? Because the competitors are going to do it, or the clients are going to do it. We'll have less work. But what you quite often find is if you put the training out there, or you're teaching people like clients to do some of the things you do, or understand more about what you do, you tend to find that it informs them, and they're better informed in how to appoint you. But quite often their focus, their core fee generating, income generating tasks are different. So it's quite likely that they'll know how to do it, and they'll know when to ask for it, but they quite often won't do it themselves. They'll come to you to do it because they'll be focused. Their key focus is on something else. So they're more likely to come to you than to go to someone else. That's a philosophy behind it. And I think the other thing is if you're training and teaching, you're learning yourself. And, that's one of the ways in which to cement the training in your own mind and your own self-development is teach others what you know. And then you can move on to other things and look at how you can better serve your clients. So I think training is key. Training is key for your own self-development, for your own business, to how can we train others, teach others how to do what we do. And I think that also raises your profile. It helps you in terms of your marketing. So I think when times are quite like this, I know it's a new skill set in terms, and it is for us, for me, to put training sessions together, but it's something we're really thinking about doing. It's whilst we, the work is quiet, what can we do to add value? What can we do to keep going? So training is a key thing from the starter program. And these are all things, there's an upside and downside to everything, and we know about the downsides of the current pandemic and the coronavirus. We've only got to turn the telly on, look at the news, and we get the downside all the time. But there's also an upside of things. And when things like this happen, when a crisis happens, sometimes it brings out the best in you. Maybe it gives you an opportunity to look at your business, to see what's working, what's not working, gives you an opportunity to pivot. Do we need to change the business? Times are changing. What can we look at now? Can we start a new business, or do we improve our own business? I know for me, our background is quantity surveying. My business is quantity surveying. We're still working and providing clients with advice, particularly in this time where they're asking us, okay, what do we do next? We're at a standstill, or we're looking, what do we do when we start up again? How do we draw a line in the sand? So we're helping our clients with that now. But also, last week, I set up a new business around something that we might be able to support clients with later on. That business is around how we can support our clients if it becomes difficult to borrow money or refinance or get development finance. We're looking more at how can we offer support for them, and looking at lease options and assignable lease options for people that perhaps can't get mortgages now, but they might be able to later on. So there's all those sorts of strategies that could be flexible in the time coming out of the crisis, where cash might be tight, but we still want to do deals. We might want to do deals in contract with clients in the future. So I've been looking a lot at lease options and assignable lease options, and I think these will be something that we can use and we can advise on and we can support clients, commercial clients, residential clients, residential landlords, these kind of people, you know, that we could help them through this stage using the expertise we have, particularly on developments. It's something that options have been used for a long time on developments, and I think that's something that we could use more. Something we're doing as well, we're looking at supporting our clients with cash flow issues and how we're going to pick up the cash flow. So we're looking at a direct lender to supply chain payment system, and that's whereby payments are made through the contracts in the normal, certification and valuations are made in the normal way through the contract. But what happens there to support cash flow for the supply chain, the contractor, and ensure the money stays within the project is that we would manage those payments separately, direct from the lender or the funding source, and the contractors pass down a promise to pay. And once that promise is received, then the payment gets paid. So it means that the demands, and you can start from the bottom up, so you can start to pay for the raw materials, the suppliers, the subcontractors up to the contract, pay it up in the opposite direction, so the promises come down the line and the payments go up the line. And it's just a way that we can support the startup of these projects in the future, because there'll be so many demands on cash, particularly on operational costs as we're starting up. So it's just a way that we've been looking at that we can support our clients in managing that cash flow through the supply chain. And I think that helps a client, it helps a contractor, and it helps the subcontractors. So that's one thing that we've been looking at, and we'll be looking at trainings for that to help them to do it. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be us to do it, but we'll be looking at the intricacies, and I'll look at that a bit more when we get to remuneration in the next bit. I'll be talking more about how we can manage our cash flow, starting our projects back up. So that's training. So there's lots of opportunities. So get out there, start your marketing, start putting yourself out there, start building the relationships with your niche clients, start thinking about how we can train what we do as well as do what we do. So there's the first two, the S and the T. And so I'll be working through these, the starter system throughout this week, that we can, hopefully have a plan, put a plan together. Hopefully it'll be helpful for you to use within your business plan, because I think a lot of us are going to be adjusting our business plan. So tomorrow I'm going to be talking about agreement, so the contract side of where we are with the contracts. So now there's been a lot talked about, particularly lawyers, around the adequacy of contracts. And there's a lot of information about that. So I'll be touching upon that, but maybe bringing another angle to it as well. That's on agreements and on contracts tomorrow. So I hope this has been useful. And so I hope you have a lovely day today. Keep safe, keep well, get on with your marketing, get on with setting up your training courses, and start thinking about how you're going to pivot and how you're going to come out of this and thrive from this, rather than see it as a complete negative. So I hope you're staying well. This is Stuart Davidson, your friendly QS, signing off. Have a great day. Speak to you tomorrow.